Her stepbrother took it all. Part 1. Chapter 1, The Blended Family Lie. The first time Dannielle met Tristan Maddox, he didn't even look at her. He walked into the living room of the newly renovated house, sleek granite countertops, the stale scent of fresh paint still hanging in the air, and barely nodded in her direction. His mother, Veronica, followed close behind, all smiles and forced laughter, a champagne flute in one hand and a diamond bracelet that screamed divorce upgrade glinting on her wrist. "Tristan," she chirped, "say hello to your new stepsister." Tristan didn't. He kept his headphones in and walked right past Dannielle like she was part of the furniture. She stood there awkwardly, one hand half lifted in a wave, her other gripping a box of books that suddenly felt too heavy. Her mom, Ellen, gave her that tight-lipped look she always gave when she needed Dannielle to be polite, to be quiet, to not make a scene. It was the first moment she realized she was being inserted into a life that didn't have room for her. The wedding had been fast 6 months from first date to white dress. Her mother had met Veronica Maddox at a charity auction and fell hard. Veronica was everything Ellen thought she needed after years of scraping by, elegant, wealthy, well-connected. And Veronica? She'd been charmed by Ellen's quiet, pliable kindness and her daughter's silence. Dannielle had smiled through it all, the rehearsals, the champagne toasts, the endless comments about how mature she was for her age. She kept her mouth shut when Tristan made a joke about her thrift store jeans at the engagement party. She said nothing when he locked her out of the house by accident the night before her midterms. It wasn't just Tristan. It was the entire dynamic. Their house became a battleground of quiet wars, cold shoulders, subtle slights, strategically missing invites to family dinners. Dannielle started eating alone in her room most nights. The door to Tristan's room was always open, music blaring, friends over constantly, but when Dannielle opened hers, she'd hear the whispers, the snickering. He called her a little Miss Charity Case when he thought she couldn't hear. Sometimes when he knew she could. And when she tried to bring it up, to say something, her mother would press a hand over hers and say, "Just try to get along, honey. They're not used to you yet." Like she was some kind of stray dog still learning the house rules. By the time Dannielle turned 17, she'd learned the art of invisibility. She moved quietly, studied obsessively, and worked weekends at a bookstore just to have something that was hers. She didn't go to parties, didn't date. Tristan did all of that loudly, recklessly, and gloriously, captain of the debate team, unofficial king of the school, the kind of guy teachers bent rules for. He always seemed to have something she didn't: attention, respect, unearned trust. But she was smarter. She could see it clearly, even then. Behind the perfect grades and polished charm, there was rot. He cheated on tests. He stole from their mother's wallet. He once got caught crashing a car into the neighbor's fence and blamed it on a mystery thief. And he always got away with it. Worse, he enjoyed watching her not get away with anything. If she came home 5 minutes past curfew, he made sure someone noticed. If she got a B and instead of an A, he'd smirk at the dinner table and say something like, "Guess gifted kids can't coast forever." And when she finally confronted him, just once, in the hallway late at night, "You've had it so easy," he hissed, face inches from hers. "Don't think I don't see the way they coddle you. You're not special. You're just convenient." But the worst part wasn't Tristan's cruelty. It was the lie that held it all together, the pretense that they were one big happy family. Holiday cards with fake smiles. Matching pajamas at Christmas. Instagram posts with captions like "so lucky to be blended." The world believed it. Their neighbors believed it. Even her mother seemed to believe it. Only Dannielle knew the truth: this wasn't a family. It was a performance. And she was the understudy no one ever planned to put on stage. But someday, she told herself late at night, staring at the ceiling, the lights off and the door locked, someday, the curtain would fall. And when it did, she wouldn't just walk away. Chapter 2, Smiles with Teeth. From the outside, Tristan Maddox was impossible not to like. He had that face, sharp jaw, perfect teeth, eyes just the right shade of villainous green to make girls fall in love and grown-ups forgive anything. At school, he ruled like royalty. He was the kind of boy who got standing ovations for average performances and full rides to college before he even applied. Teachers smiled too wide when he walked into a room. Principals remembered his name like he was already alumni. And he knew it. God, he knew it. At home, the charm dropped like a mask the moment the front door clicked shut. "You should smile more," he said once, on a random Tuesday, as Dannielle reached for a plate at breakfast. "You always look like you're about to cry. It's kind of pathetic." He said it with a laugh. A casual toss of the words, like they meant nothing. Veronica didn't hear him, she was too busy monologuing about a new real estate listing in the Hamptons. Ellen looked up, but only for a second. She said nothing. Just went back to slicing strawberries with surgical precision. So Dannielle smiled. She smiled the way she had learned to, a soft curve, teeth hidden, eyes tired. The kind of smile that said, "I'm fine, I swear," because if she didn't say it, someone would accuse her of creating tension. That was the trick to Tristan, he never attacked in ways that left bruises. His cuts came in glances, half laughs, casually cruel remarks delivered with a wink. He weaponized charisma. He was all charm in front of others, opening doors for teachers, volunteering at community drives, hugging Veronica just long enough to make her heart melt. But alone? He was colder than steel. School was worse. There, Tristan's popularity became a force field. He introduced Dannielle to people as "my almost sister" and said it in a tone that made everyone laugh like it was a harmless joke, not a public declaration of disgust. He told one girl Dannielle was adopted, she wasn't. He told another that she once tried to kiss him, she hadn't. God, never. Each rumor was a tiny, sharp blade in her locker, her inbox, her ear during lunch. Every time she told someone the truth, a teacher, a counselor, even her mother, they looked at her like she was the problem. "I'm sure he didn't mean it that way, Dannielle. You know how teenage boys are. He's just teasing. It's probably how he shows affection." Affection. Right. Because affection looked like Tristan unplugging her alarm clock the night before the Sats. Like him accidentally dropping bleach into her laundry. Like replacing her presentation slides with photos of a cartoon pig, then laughing when she choked in front of her AP Lit class. What killed her most wasn't the cruelty itself. It was the audience, the people who saw, heard, suspected, and still chose to look away. Even Ellen, her own mother, had started slipping into denial. Maybe if you weren't so sensitive. Maybe if you just got along better, she meant well. She always meant well. But meaning well doesn't stop the wound from bleeding. And Tristan thrived in that space, the gap between what people believed and what he really was. He'd flash a smile and say something like, "You're overthinking things, Danny," and the person beside him, a teacher, a friend, even Ellen, would laugh and nod. Of course she was overthinking. Tristan was so charming, so polite. How could he possibly be cruel? But Dannielle knew the truth. She saw the look in his eyes when they locked across a room, that smirk, the curl of control, the private war behind his carefully curated exterior. It wasn't that he didn't care if he hurt her. It was that he enjoyed it. One night, during a storm, the power went out. The house creaked and whispered like an old ghost trying to remember its name. Dannielle lit a candle and sat at her desk, trying to finish a scholarship essay due the next morning. Her laptop battery was dying, her Wi-Fi gone. She was typing furiously and then she heard it. A soft knock. Her bedroom door opened. Tristan stood there, leaning casually on the frame. "Need help?" he asked. The candle flickered. She looked at him. The grin on his face wasn't kind. It was the kind of smile you see in a nightmare, friendly enough to fool you, sharp enough to wake you up bleeding. "I'm fine," she said tightly. He nodded, stepped inside anyway, and blew out the candle. Darkness swallowed the room. And then footsteps. The door clicked shut. He was gone. She sat in the dark for a long time after that. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard of a laptop with no power. Her heartbeat was louder than the storm outside. Something inside her shifted that night, not broken, but bent just far enough to remember. Because this wasn't teasing. This wasn't affection. This was a game. One where only he was allowed to win. But games could be studied. Patterns could be memorized. And one day, if she played her cards right and stayed quiet long enough, she could flip the board. She'd tear the whole stage down. Chapter 3, Graduation Sabotage. Dannielle had always clung to her work like a lifeline. While other kids filled their lockers with love notes and crumpled snack wrappers, she filled hers with flashcards, binders, and annotated essays. She wasn't just the top student in her class, she was obsessed with being beyond reproach. Not because she wanted praise, but because being excellent was the only way anyone might listen to her when she said, "Something's wrong." So when her senior year final project for the prestigious capstone program approached, a multidisciplinary thesis worth 40% of her grade and the key to 3 separate scholarships, she prepared like her life depended on it. Because it did. Her topic, the anatomy of manufactured narratives in crisis media, a subtle, veiled dissection of image manipulation and reputation control. She worked on it for 6 months. Designed custom slides. Filmed original interviews. Coded her own analytics program. Late nights, early mornings, skipped holidays. It became her anchor. Her proof that she was more than a ghost in a hostile house. She stored it all in a single folder on her laptop. Backed up twice. Labeled meticulously. Password protected. Every detail triple checked. But the night before her presentation, a quiet Thursday, the air humid with approaching summer, she came home to find her bedroom door slightly ajar. Odd. She always locked it. Her laptop was sitting on her desk. Open. Even odder. She never left it open. She froze, that pit settling deep in her gut. Clicked into the folder. Double-clicked the master file. A loading icon. Then. File not found. At first, she thought it was a glitch. Maybe a bad sync. She searched every folder. Opened her backup drive. Empty. Completely wiped. Her entire project gone. Her hands started shaking. She tried recovering the files. Nothing. Every document, every video, every slide erased. It wasn't just missing. It had been deliberately deleted. She knew who did it before she even turned around. Tristan. The smug bastard had been lounging on the patio that afternoon, laughing into his phone, feet on the table like he owned the world. His laptop opened beside him. Her bedroom key just hanging on a hook in the hallway where anyone could grab it. She ran downstairs, voice trembling with rage. "Did you touch my computer?" He looked up slowly, eyes cool, a bite of apple in his mouth. "Why would I touch your crap?" he said with a shrug. "You're always so paranoid, Danny. Maybe you're just not as good with tech as you think." That smirk. That smirk. It lit a fire in her chest. "I backed everything up," she snapped. "Then find it," he said, nonchalantly scrolling his phone. "Unless you're looking for someone to blame when you fail." She could feel her fists clench. Her vision blurred. But her voice came out quiet. Controlled. "You went into my room." Tristan looked at her, really looked at her like she was a bug under glass. Then leaned forward with a lazy smile. "If I did, what exactly would you do about it?" The next morning, she stood in front of her capstone panel with a blank screen behind her. Her voice cracked halfway through her impromptu backup presentation. She tried to pull from memory, tried to hold it together, but she could see the doubt in their eyes. The disappointment. A few of them exchanged glances. One of them sighed. When she finished, the head of the panel folded her hands. "Dannielle," she said gently, "this feels incomplete." She left the room in silence. No applause. No nods. Just the squeak of her shoes on the linoleum floor and the buzz of fluorescent lights overhead. Later that day, at home, Ellen approached her with a frown and a mug of tea. "I heard your presentation didn't go well," she said, setting the mug on Dannielle's desk. "What happened?" Dannielle stared at her. "Tristan deleted my project." Ellen blinked. "Honey. He broke into my room. He opened my laptop. He erased 6 months of work." Her mother's face was pale, unsure. "Are you sure?" "Yes. I mean, maybe there was a power surge. Maybe you saved it wrong." "Mom." Silence. "You always assume I'm overreacting," Dannielle said. Her voice was raw. "But you never ask him anything, do you? He said he didn't even know your password." "Of course he said that. You believe everything he says." Her mother's lips pressed into a thin, defensive line. "He wouldn't sabotage your education. That's not who he is." Dannielle let out a laugh that didn't sound like hers. "It's exactly who he is." But Ellen didn't respond. She picked up the mug she'd just brought in, nodded stiffly, and left the room. By the end of the week, Dannielle had officially lost her scholarship recommendation. Her counselor emailed her an encouraging note suggesting she reapply next semester. The capstone score was recorded as incomplete, student error. Final GPA, just low enough to kill her top-tier college hopes. And Tristan? He got into Yale. His acceptance letter came with a full ride, a framed copy of his essay, and a custom school hoodie he wore around the house like a trophy. When she passed him in the hallway that night, he whistled low. "Better luck next life, sis." She didn't respond. But in her mind quietly, viciously a door clicked open. This wasn't a feud. This wasn't teenage drama. This was war. And she was done playing defense. Chapter 4, Clean Exit, Quiet Girl. She didn't cry when she lost the scholarship. She didn't scream when her mother told her to let it go. She didn't punch a wall, throw a plate, or fall apart. She just stopped speaking. Not entirely. She still answered when spoken to. Still said thank you when handed her diploma, still smiled politely at family friends who said, "You'll bounce back, sweetie, everything happens for a reason." But something inside her had gone still. A cold, quiet kind of stillness, not defeat, not depression. Something else. Something calculating. The night of graduation, Tristan threw a massive party in their backyard. String lights. Champagne bottles. A rented sound system so loud it rattled the windows. He gave a speech, drunk and golden under the spotlight, thanking everyone who believed in him and calling himself a self-made success. When he made eye contact with Dannielle, standing alone under the patio awning, he raised his glass in a mock salute. "Couldn't have done it without the quiet ones," he said. People laughed. She didn't. She left early. No one noticed. The next morning, before sunrise, Dannielle packed 2 suitcases and left the house without saying goodbye. Her mother texted once. "Where are you? Are you okay?" She responded. "Yes. I'm safe. I'll send an address once I'm settled." She never did. She moved into a studio apartment barely big enough to exhale in. The walls were paper thin. The stove barely worked. Her mattress was second-hand. The rent was low and the air was heavy with the scent of other people's lives. But it was hers. No one rolled their eyes when she spoke. No one unplugged her charger. No one called her paranoid for locking her door. Freedom didn't feel like fireworks. It felt like silence. And silence, to her, felt like power. She worked 3 jobs, barista at 6 a.m., part-time marketing assistant at a crumbling agency by 10, waitress at a tapas bar by 6. She ate peanut butter out of the jar for dinner and used public Wi-Fi to submit job applications. She smiled through customers screaming at her, bosses talking over her, and strangers pretending not to see her. She never told anyone where she came from. Never mentioned Tristan. Never once uttered her stepbrother's name. To the world, she was just another girl trying to make it. But beneath the surface, she was building something. Not just a life. An arsenal. It started with freelance work, tiny design jobs for local businesses. Logos, newsletters, Instagram templates. Then small campaigns. Referrals. She taught herself the tools of the trade, social media algorithms, reputation management, copy strategy. She began following crisis PR accounts like a stalker. Watching how they spun scandal into opportunity. Reading every article about image rehab, brand redemption, media manipulation. The irony wasn't lost on her. She had spent her entire life watching Tristan manipulate perception. Now, she was learning how to manipulate reality. 2 years passed in this quiet, grinding rhythm. Dannielle, once the overlooked stepdaughter, became something else, composed, quiet, razor-focused. She said little. Smiled rarely. Watched everything. By the time she turned 22, she was running her own boutique PR consultancy, remote, lean, fast. She helped influencers recover from cancellation. She guided executives through messy divorces. She cleaned up reputations for people who didn't deserve clean slates. She told herself it was just work. Just survival. Just business. But some nights, when the lights were low and her inbox was full, she'd scroll through old headlines about Tristan smiling on red carpets, giving keynotes at panels, launching his own flashy startup, and she'd feel something curl behind her ribs. Not jealousy. Not even hatred. Just precision. Like an archer slowly drawing the string. Because what he never realized was that Dannielle didn't need revenge right away. She didn't want to scream at the gates of the castle. She wanted to build her own empire, brick by brick, until one day she could walk right in, smile politely, and burn it down from the inside. But that would come later. For now, she stayed silent. For now, she kept her head down. For now, she let him believe he'd won. Chapter 5, The Perfect Life Until Him. For the first time in years, Dannielle felt like she had room to breathe. Her apartment was no longer cramped and crumbling. She'd upgraded high ceilings, clean lines, minimalist furniture in soft, expensive textures. The kind of place that whispered success without screaming it. There were no locks missing, no passwords being guessed, no voices yelling through thin walls. She drank oat milk lattes in the morning now. She wore neutral-toned blazers and simple gold jewelry. Her calendar was full. Her client list was elite. She wasn't rich yet, but she was rising. Every day, she felt a little more like someone new. Someone untouchable. She didn't go by Danny anymore. She signed every email D. Maddox, ironic, considering how much she hated the name. But it was clean, sharp, ambiguous. It gave her power. Power was important. Especially because she knew, deep down, it was borrowed. And borrowed power can be taken away. It happened on a Wednesday. Early spring. Warm air rising off the city sidewalks, everything blooming and buzzing with that irritating kind of optimism she usually ignored. Her assistant forwarded an email marked urgent, potential strategic partnership. The name listed in the signature froze her cold. Tristan Maddox. Founder and CEO, Maddox Elevate. Branded Solutions, Media Investment, Crisis Capital. Her blood turned to frost. Her cursor hovered over the trash icon. But she didn't delete it. Instead, she opened it. I know this is unexpected. I saw a piece about your firm in Fast Coal last week. Congrats on the growth. You're clearly doing incredible things. I have an opportunity that could be mutually beneficial, potentially lucrative. Let's talk. No pressure. T. No pressure. The audacity. She stared at the screen for a long time. Her reflection in the dark glass looked calm, but her jaw was clenched tight. She hadn't seen him in almost 4 years. Not in person. She'd heard things, of course, always rising, always successful. He had money now. Real money. Silicon Valley fast-tracked wealth. Angel investor wealth. Forbes 30 under 30 wealth. She had done everything to avoid this. To build a new life without his name poisoning the soil. But a tiny voice inside her, sharp, curious, calculating, said, "Meet him. Just once. Find out why he's here." They met at a rooftop bar in Tribeca. Upscale, curated, full of white furniture and curated people pretending to be casual in $900 sneakers. He looked exactly the same, maybe even more polished now. Expensive haircut, sculpted jaw, designer shirt unbuttoned just enough to signal charm without trying. And that smile. God, that smile. Still all teeth. "Danny," he said warmly, standing as she approached. "Sorry, Dannielle, right? We're grown ups now." She didn't hug him. She didn't sit immediately. "You said this was urgent," she said flatly. Tristan grinned. Still direct. "I like that. Still condescending." "I don't like that." He held his hands up in mock surrender, then gestured to the seat across from him. "Just hear me out." His pitch was smooth, so smooth it almost didn't sound rehearsed. He'd started a fund, Maddox Elevate. A vision-forward, socially conscious, innovation-based capital partner. Vomit. He had clients. Startups. Media tech. Sustainability brands. But they needed image polish. Reputation handling. His firm didn't have a PR wing. Not a real one. He wanted to invest in hers. "I'm not just talking contract work," he said, leaning in. "I want to be a partner. Silent, if that's what you want. I just want in." "You're too sharp to be this small scale forever." Dannielle said nothing. Just sipped her drink. "I believe in you," he added. "I know I wasn't always the nicest back then. We were kids. I was a dick, honestly. But I see you now. You're impressive." That word impressive stuck like a thorn. She watched him for a long time. His eyes didn't flicker. His smile didn't waver. If this was a trap, it was wrapped in silk and served on silver. "I'll think about it," she said quietly. She didn't sleep that night. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying the conversation in her head. Every word. Every gesture. Every carefully placed compliment. Could he have changed? Or was this just another game? But then came the other thought, the darker, hungrier one. What if I used him back? Let him open the door. Let him bring the fire. And when he least expected it, she'd be standing behind him, holding the match. 3 weeks later, she signed a partnership agreement. 15% equity. Silent investment. No creative interference. He wired the money that day. Large. Quick. Clean. And for a brief moment, for the first time in her life, Dannielle let herself believe she was finally safe. She had climbed the mountain. Built her name. Taken the meeting. Secured the funds. Tamed the monster. What she didn't know was this. The moment she let Tristan Maddox into her business was the moment he started pulling it apart from the inside. Chapter 6, Betrayed by Blood, almost. At first, everything was quiet. Too quiet. Tristan's money came with no strings. He showed up for exactly one Zoom call, camera off, microphone muted, late, and afterwards sent a short email. "You've got this. Don't let me slow you down." She didn't trust it. But she didn't question it either. The wire transfer hit her account like a miracle. She was able to hire a full-time assistant, upgrade her server, and lease a small office space uptown. She even bought her first real power suit tailored, Italian wool, dark navy with pinprick stitching. For a few weeks, Dannielle walked through the world like she belonged in it. Clients doubled. Then tripled. She started turning people away. At 23, she was managing brand rehab for household names, talk show hosts, tech founders, a famously messy divorce between two international influencers. She was booked 6 months out. She was becoming a name. D. Maddox. The fixer. The one who made scandals disappear. And through it all, Tristan was silent. No check-ins. No ego. Just that one line from the contract in her head, playing over and over like a haunting. Silent investor. No creative control. But silence has many forms. And some are far more dangerous than words. It started with a bounced invoice. Then a second one. A client, a big one, emailed her, confused and frustrated. We were told the campaign was being restructured by the partner on file. Was that not cleared with you? Dannielle blinked. What partner? She muttered out loud. Then her inbox began to shift. Requests rerouted. Meetings rescheduled. Budgets adjusted. She called her assistant. Did someone change the admin permissions on our client portal? I thought you did, the assistant replied. I got an email. From Tristan. Something cold crawled up her spine. She logged into her main systems. Password denied. She tried the backups. Blocked. She logged into her banking dashboard. Gone. Zeroed out. Her business accounts frozen. She called the bank in a panic. The voice on the other end was calm, robotic. The account is under joint authority. A change was made to the signatory permissions last week. By the co-owner. Co-owner. Tristan. Her phone rang again. It was one of her biggest clients, an executive at a streaming platform embroiled in a scandal. I don't know what's going on, the client said sharply. I just got a notification that your firm is under internal audit. There's a rumor your team mishandled confidential data. You need to fix this. Now. Dannielle's mouth went dry. What rumor? I don't know. But if it's true, I'm pulling the contract. The call dropped. By nightfall, 3 clients had walked. Her assistant quit via text. And her inbox, once a badge of prestige, was now a flood of cancellation notices and legal flags. She called Tristan. He answered on the 3rd ring. Casual. Relaxed. Too calm. Hey, Danny, he said, like nothing had happened. What the hell did you do? She whispered. I just reorganized a few things, he replied smoothly. It's nothing personal. You stole everything. I own 15%. That gives me access. Influence. And, by the way, you should really be more careful with who has backend permissions. 1-week password? It's a security nightmare. You gaslit me, she said. You planned this. He didn't deny it. Instead, he said, you were getting too big. Too fast. You needed a little humbling. Think of this as a reset. A reset. Her voice cracked. I built this from the ground up. And I gave you the money to scale it, he said, sharp now. Without me, you'd still be fixing TikTok influencers' breakups from a WeWork lobby. She wanted to scream. Instead, she said, why? There was a pause. And then, with maddening calm. Because I could. The next morning, her email login failed. Her business website was replaced with a single line of text. Under reconstruction. Thank you for your patience. Her name was removed from a joint PR award she had just won. And when she opened her final legal letter from the bank, she saw it in fine, cold print. All assets held jointly. Funds reallocated under the partner's discretion. She was finished. Burned out of her own company. By someone who once watched her grow up under the same roof. Not blood. Not legally. But close enough. Too close. She packed her office that afternoon in silence. No tears. No calls. No explanations. She boxed her nameplate. The blazer. The framed headline that once called her the new face of PR power. She walked out the glass doors and didn't look back. Her phone buzzed once as she stepped onto the street. A text. From Tristan. No hard feelings, right? Family first. Always. She stared at the words for a long time. Then deleted the message. And this time, she didn't disappear. Not really. She just went underground. But she would be back. And when she returned, she wouldn't be the girl they stole from. She'd be the woman who stole everything back.
They lied. They cheated. They betrayed the one person who gave them everything. But guess what? The truth always finds a voice, and here, it screams. If you live for chaos, loyalty gone wrong, and revenge served cold. Like this video. Drop a comment. And hit subscribe, because on Family Drama Unleashed, we don't forgive, and we never forget. Tap that bell, because the next betrayal? It's already on its way.